Israel has been rocked by a series of earthquakes. Over 80,000 buildings are also at the risk of falling because they're so old they cannot withstand the quakes. This is the Levant Fault running from the Anatolian plate of Turkey all the way down through the Galilee area, the Sea of Galilee, down to where the Jordan runs through to the Dead Sea, all the way to the Red Sea, as we can see here. This is a fault line. Israel has been plagued with several large earthquakes, one of them being in 1927, and these old buildings are still standing today, many of them in Jerusalem. They're all over, these buildings are all over the area of Israel. Some of them are way before the Byzantine era, way before the Middle Ages. And as we know, in Jerusalem, there are buildings that are there from the time of our Lord Jesus Christ. So for second times in days, the earthquakes rock Israel. On July 4th, for example, a 4.5 evening earthquake sent tremors from the Golan Heights all the way to Tel Aviv after Israelis in northern Israel woke up in the small hours to a 4.1 earthquake. No damages or injuries immediately reported. The houses shook and it was scary. This is what's reported by Ynet News. A 4.5 earthquake was felt at 10:46 p.m. Wednesday in northern and central Israel, according to the Geophysical Institute of Israel, rocking the whole country for a second time in one day. So it was a 4.1 and a 4.5. The epicenter of the earthquake was the lower Galilee. There were no immediate reports of any injuries or damages to property. Ripples were felt in Haifa, Tel Aviv, Tiberias, the Golan Heights, Kiryat Ono, Yevatayim, Holon, Petah Tikva, Safed, Acre, Kfar Tavor, that's Tabor, the Mount Tabor, Nazareth, Ilit, Ramat Gan, and many other places, according to reports by people on the internet. So it was basically all of the area around Galilee up to Mount Tabor. Mustafa from Tira said, I was sitting in my living room with my phone, and I felt the sofa move from right to left. It went on for 10 seconds and then it stopped. I felt dizzy. It was really scary. Ron from Tiberias said, I was at home. It was scary. The house shook. Everything was moving. There were also reports of tremors by Lebanese citizens in Beirut, Lebanon. Offer Amiel from Ashdod Yaakov, Ehud in the Amek Ha-Yarden Regional Council said that the evening earthquake felt similar to the first one that took place in the morning. He said, we live in a new and stable house, so nothing fell, meaning, of course, that it was earthquake proof, right? He said, we were all awake and some of us were shocked, but nothing fell, so there was no need for us to get out. Only the lampshades were swaying slightly. One Haifa resident said she felt strong tremors. The whole house, she said, was really, really shaking, was really scary. I was in shock, even though I knew about the earthquake in the morning, but I was still in shock. And the person said, I'm all alone at home and everything started moving, the lights, the bed. It was not nice at all. Authorities called on residents to listen only to official updates and instruction, ignoring unconfirmed reports. In the meantime, there's an estimate of over 80,000 buildings in danger of collapse in face of the earthquakes in the area. Earthquakes are Israel's biggest security threat, Jackie Levy told the Jerusalem Post. This is an article by Tamar Ziev, July 9th. The Israeli soldiers from Home Front Command are having a drill as to how to save people from fallen buildings. There are 80,000 buildings in Israel that are in danger of collapsing in the face of a serious earthquake in Israel. This is what the Deputy Minister of Housing and Construction, Jackie Levy, told the Jerusalem Post on Monday. Levy issued a statement on the urgency of this matter after the North Israel dozens of earthquakes experienced over the past few days. Dozens of earthquakes. That's not good. Levy says he's been fighting for greater action on this issue for several years, and that while his ministry had budgeted Israeli shekel 60 million every year for the last 3 years to reinforce buildings, that's only a drop in the ocean. This needs a massive systematic solution, a national plan, he said. He noted that his ministry has already put together a 5-year plan, which he hopes will be approved soon. The plan, which his ministry put together with the finance ministry, requires a budget of 250 million a year of Israeli shekels for 5 years, which will deal only with the homes of those who live on the Great Rift Valley, the highest risk zone. So this is the Levant fault running through the same area from northern Israel through the Sea of Galilee as the Jordan River flows all the way down to the Dead Sea and into the Red Sea. The Jordan River flows into a rift valley that is a fault line. So that's bad news. This is also the exact location of what our Lord Jesus Christ prophesied that would open up in the last days and take away, for example, Mount of Olives from Jerusalem, which are right across from each other, separated by the Kidron Valley. He prophesied that there would be a great earthquake which would split Israel from the Kidron Valley. It would split and separate. So obviously he knew what he was talking about because, of course, it's a fault line. The Defense Ministry, along with the security establishment and the National Emergency Authority, is set to hold an emergency meeting in a few days on Thursday because they have to discuss this issue. It's a very, very serious thing. So in the meantime, Galilee struck by new earthquakes rattling northern Israel. Tiberias opens emergency hotlines for residents, evacuates 3 apartment buildings as wave of tremblers continues. This is the Times of Israel by Toy Staff. Two minor earthquakes were felt in northern Israel Sunday night, bringing the number of minor tremblers to jangle the region to 4 for the whole day. You see, so they keep on going. There were no reports of injuries or damages as a result of either earthquake, the latest in a series of weak tremblers that have put the region on edge amid fears a larger quake could be in the offing. So that's not good. They obviously fear that these are precursor earthquakes to a bigger earthquake. The first quake, as we said, struck about just after 11 p.m., registered a 3.1 on the Richter scale, 3.1 magnitude. It was followed by an hour later by a 3.3 magnitude earthquake. The northern city of Tiberias, around the Sea of Galilee, announced late Sunday that it had opened an emergency hotline for residents in light of the wave of earthquakes to hit the area around the Sea of Galilee in the past week. The city ordered residents to evacuate 3 apartment buildings in light of the quakes. And we have seen pictures here. I'll leave a link below for you at Times of Israel that first of all, there's minor damages to, I guess they look like buildings from the 1960s. Plaster has fallen off from one of these buildings, the sides of one of these buildings. The second earthquake of the day was felt shortly before 5 p.m. in Galilee. The quake was centered on the Sea of Galilee just off the beaches of Tiberias. Seismologists in Israel's Geophysical Institute said it was measured at 3.9 magnitude on the Richter scale. Unlike its 3.0 predecessor earlier in the day, the new quake was felt as far as west as Haifa on the Mediterranean coast and on the Golan Heights plateau to the east. So it was 3.1, 3.9, 4.1, 4.5. That's bad because they're increasing in strength. It was the latest earthquake in a week of tremors in the Galilee that has left officials worried that a larger quake might be coming. The first quake took place early Wednesday morning in the northern Galilee area, measuring 4.3 magnitude on the Richter scale. It was felt in the Haifa region, northern Israel also, and was followed by several aftershocks. Weak earthquakes continued to rattle parts of northern Israel early Thursday morning, with 2 minor earthquakes recorded overnight, making a total of 4 in less than 24 hours. Northern Israel and also areas around Jerusalem, which is in the middle of Israel, and the Dead Sea are at high risk of quakes measuring from 5 to 5.9 magnitude on the Richter scale. This is according to the World Health Organization, with the central and southern coastal areas and the Negev Desert at medium risk of a quake in the 4 to 4.9 magnitude range. Experts warn a large earthquake could strike Israel in the near future, and the Israeli government has been funding projects for public buildings to be strengthened, as we said, against tremors, but they're not doing enough, and not enough buildings have been strengthened fast enough. As we said, there are many beautiful, beautiful, historic and blessed buildings that are from the time of our Lord Jesus Christ, and even before that. For example, what about the let's just take one example of Temple Mount that has, for example, the pillar of the son of David. That's his temple, his tomb, but that's an old building. Now, most of these, of course, have been constructed from the past, and they've been there for thousands of years, and they've gone through much larger earthquakes than these. But with every single earthquake, every single construction gets weakened. Now, the last major earthquake to hit the region was, as we said, in 1927. It was a 6.2 magnitude tremor, and it killed 500 people and injured another 700. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman announced Thursday that a new multi-year plan to protect Israel from earthquakes will be presented to the cabinet this month. He said, "Last year we carried out the biggest earthquake exercise in years. We learned many lessons, one of which was the need for a multi-year home front defense plan, especially for the north. This month we'll present it to the cabinet, and I'm sure we'll get the green light and budget to get it started, and I hope so too. I have never visited Israel, but God willing, I aim to for a pilgrimage."